So, Don, I want you to know that I'm a reader of OK Magazine. And so I have my cheat sheet ready to go.
Very good.
I saw this a couple of weeks ago when I was working out, which says a little bit about the intensity of my workouts. All right, so there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, and that was great. That was great, and I really want to watch it. Just the human level. I think, and I know you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago to me that was really there, but I didn't really know what to expect in that you would really connect with people. So maybe that answers the question of why you think this is the best Apprentice, but why do you think it is?
Well, Erin, when we started The Apprentice, it was, I guess, 5 years ago now, and this is season 10. And it's been sort of an amazing experience, but we've gone through different markets. And the market that used to be 5 years ago was a go-go market. Everybody was doing well. Everybody was, just happy as could be. And we started under that premise, and we developed Omarosa and lots of other characters, and it was a lot of fun. And the show went to #1 for many weeks of the season. It was really a great success, and we had a lot of fun with it. We then switched over to Celebrity, had great success with that. And then when the economy crashed, Mark came to me, NBC came to me, we all came together and said, this would be interesting. We'll look at it from the perspective of a bad economy and people that aren't doing so well. There is no more go-go. And we have 16 characters that really, as you see it and as you see it develop over the coming 14 or 15 weeks, I think it's very inspirational. It's very sad. It's really very sad. There are certain things that take place that are really, it's a very sad situation what happens to a few of these people. Some reacted unbelievably well to adversity, and some didn't. Some were unable to handle adversity. And it was so different than season 1. And we had that great success, but in a certain way, and I said it the other day, and I've only said it once, but this could be the best season we've done of The Apprentice.
And Mark, how did you make the choices? These people are all very different. They're older, in a sense, to your point, than in the go-go years when it was really kind of the young, getting first job out of school, in a sense, let's go. How did you make the choices of who to put on?
The casting choices, not the edit choices. Casting choices, it's like all casting. It's an instinctual thing. We do it together. We all work on along with NBC. But in the end, it's instinctual. The first thing, though, I eliminate immediately anybody that has on their application they've applied for Big Brother, The Bachelor, American Idol, and everything else you can imagine, because it means they want to be on television and are looking to stroke their ego in the wrong way, and they don't really want to show their business prowess and work for Trump. And so if you're not really serious and I don't feel you have an authentic motivation, I don't want you on this show. But the one thing I will say, that Donald Trump has a real fight back attitude as a person, and I've got to know Donald very, very well and the family, and I really admire that. And all these people who went on this show are fighting back. Let's face it, if you weren't A-type and willing to stand up in this recession, having lost your job, you really are going to hide on the couch. These people are putting themselves up front and center out there to market themselves and fight back for a job, and I have a lot of respect for that.
I noticed both of you were pretty tough on them, and of course you happen to pick a really tough assignment there when you talk about New York real estate. But there were fights right off the bat, and I know obviously this was edited, so I don't know how early that happened, but it seemed like that intensity was really early on, as opposed to other times where people are maybe a little bit more casual, maybe because they have so much on the line. How would you say this is different?
I think that you can feel it almost from inception, the difference. And for the last few seasons, we've done the celebrity version, which has been tremendous, but it's a totally different viewpoint. With the celebrities, these are professionals who have accomplished so much in their careers. And in this iteration, it is people that are so hungry and wanting to prove themselves. And we're so close to having proven themselves professionally, and then it was all sort of clawed back from them by the economy. So right out of the gate, you see just the hunger and the passion and the motivation. And quite frankly, it was just very inspiring for me as a young person as well.
Women versus men, what do you think?
Well, I think that's great, obviously, but I think it's also interesting for us because these people are a little bit more of our peer group, a little more of our age group. It's difficult, perhaps for us following them around, being our father's eyes and ears, to go after someone who's as accomplished as a Gene Simmons or people who've appeared on Celebrity. So for us, it's a little bit easier to draw that out because while everyone does have a hard luck story, there really can only be one winner. And I think what we've done well in this case is, introduce an element of mentorship that has never been there in the past. They're spending a lot of time talking with my father, talking with other CEOs. So even the people who don't necessarily win are still getting a good experience and getting great benefit out of the experience of being on the show.
And that, to your point, that's something different you did this time, right, in terms of bringing in more CEOs and more people, because
Well,
this
that's
group is
right.
different.
But I will say, in all due respect to Don and Ivanka and Eric, my other son, who's also a participant, it was very tough for them going up to, let's say, Scott Hamilton. He won 2 gold medals. He's a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. And they're supposed to go up and start screaming at him? In fact, I even said to Don, what the hell right do you have to scream at Scott Hamilton? So they were in a very bad position. We have, some of these, now you could scream at Dennis Rodman because Dennis is Dennis. Right?
That was easy.
But that was an easy one. But we really did we had a great time with it. And we've had a great time with Celebrity, but I think that, in a sense, Erin, getting back to what you're asking, in a sense, this is the most important, the season 10 is the most important season that we've done, because it really is reflective of what's going on in the world and what's going on in the economy.
What else did you do differently? I mean, in terms of the tasks, were they more difficult? Were they sort of based upon
Well, the one thing
some
we're
of the
doing
life experiences
differently
they've
that
had?
I think is a big help is take Terry Lundgren, who's a friend of Frank. And by the way, Frank is one of the great men. You're chairman, okay? You're chairman. This is a man, I've known him, he told me 30 years. I don't want to hear 30 years, it's too long. But it has been probably more than that. But, Frank went into a certain realm, and he was far ahead of the field. I mean, he went into the television business and the cable business and everything else. And that's why his company is doing so well, because he was able to think. But, so I just want to thank you very much, and your beautiful wife for being here. It's a very great honor. One of the things we are doing is, and that we have never done before, is as people get fired or terminated, we're setting them up with major CEOs, like Terry Lundgren, a friend of Frank's, of Macy's, and the head of PVH, Phillips Van Heusen, the big shirt company, the largest in the world, and Russell Simmons and some others.
Steve Forbes.
So Steve Forbes is involved. So we don't just say you're fired and go. We say you're fired, and by the way, you can meet Terry Lundgren. Get the hell out of here. Okay? So I think it's really, and in a couple of cases, lots of good things have happened. I mean, a couple of good things have happened to those people.
We're also working on vignettes in future episodes to show what happens to people who are fired and how their lives have changed, and how the, it was sad at the time, but now it feels good. If you remember, Donald, people saying to us, wow, it feels so good to be back at work. Now, they're not back at work, but they feel like they are because they're motivated and doing tasks. And energy is a very important quality in anybody, and that motivation and that momentum, and that's what we really felt out of this. They're back at work and they're doing something, and it just helps. Just the fact of camaraderie of 15 other people in the same situation, even though you're against each other, the momentum and energy really paid off. And
So you're following up when someone gets fired,
Yes.
then later on
Yes.
in an episode
We're going to
you
be
can
doing
see
some
what happened
vignettes
to
to
them.
show
That's
you
Okay.
how they got interviews. In some cases, they got jobs. I mean, they're smart people.
Right.
It's a great way to market yourself. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself up there and show yourself filing for unemployment. That's really a hard thing to watch.
Yeah, that was a really. And how do you handle that whole aspect of the personal side of things? I mean, I know someone here had those allegations of attempted battery on his wife, and I know that wasn't mentioned here, but they were talking about having 5 kids and his wife leaving him. And how do you handle the personal overlay? And did you do that
wasn't the
differently than
same
usual?
by the way.
It was not the same person.
Different person.
No, yeah, it was a
Really
different
Could
person.
have been the same person.
No, it wasn't.
He did have a temper,
Probably,
but
probably
it wasn't
should.
him. Yeah.
Well, the one man, his wife, he had this good marriage, he thought, until he lost his job. And then she dumped him. And I'm saying, this is not the kind of woman I want to meet. I want somebody that sticks with me, folks. And we go into a whole thing. But I mean, he got dumped after he had no money coming in. So I said, what kind of a wife? Oh, I really love her. I said, but she obviously doesn't love you too much. I mean, you're going through bad times. Wouldn't it be nice if she stuck it out with you? But she didn't choose to do so. We have some very interesting things, actually, that happened during the show like that.